So let's see something new, right? The Liatris is starting to come out. There's at least like 3 or so plants starting to sprout. We're waiting for the ferns there and possibly that hollyhock. But at least some of pretty much all of the tubers we planted, besides those two, have started sprouting. I think I did not know how to pronounce it. I said Liatris or Liatris. But I did a Google, how to pronounce, and it said Liatris. So if that's wrong, you can blame Google. Several hours later, I got some camphor from by the ditch, by the roadside, I should say. So this is something's going to be a future bed here, a raised bed or something. So I'm just throwing it down here near the fence line, near where we put the fantastic avocado a week or so back. Where the swing set was, we are definitely planning to make another raised bed here. Don't ask me what's going to go here, but it just looks like the coolest area. It looks like it's it just has to be one here. I'm not sure when we're going to work on that, but we are going to try to use the sling here and try to get some of these weeds down. There's what it looks like now. I'm not going all the way to the ground and getting this really tough grass down, but got a little pile there, and everything else is just kind of scattered everywhere else. And that is good enough for what we have planned in the future. The idea of using these sling sickles and scythes and manual push mowers and stuff like that, but my arms and elbows and wrists and knees and all are just not that great. But if I was 20 years younger, I would be using these, and I used to use these guys all the time when I was younger as well. I love these guys. Just hit the grass, and it's not super easy. But with that said, I will use them as long as my wrist isn't hurting. They have some part of my gardening endeavors, we'll definitely use them when we can. So the raised-ish bed that we debated calling raised bed 2, 3, or 4, early on in the season, and changed our mind and said this isn't part of the aged, wood chip raised alternative beds. We were originally talking about putting pineapple guavas there, and the longer we get into the season, the more I see that it's going to be harder to take care of something like that. A little bit away from the water hose, a little bit, more in the sun. And we've had some of our pomegranates, the last one we put in there at least, just shrivel every day from the sun and the heat, despite trying to water it as much as we could. So I don't know. I've been thinking too that maybe we should put figs there, but again, these are small figs that we got 7 or so that we haven't had planted in there, in the ground at all, I should say. And this heat is just brutal, even though it's not been over 90 or 87 or whatever it has been lately. It's still the sun is acting like an oven and just toasting things this early in the season. It's not even summer. So that bed may just have to wait till next year as well. So check this out. The peanuts, the test ones we did, are up. Wow. And there's some more pushing back right there. So this is our true Suriname spinach, or it's supposed to be, versus what we've been calling it, which, we've been calling Jewels of Opar Suriname spinach a little bit. These are very closely related. They're both edible, but Jewels of Opar seems to pop up everywhere. I don't know how these guys pop up, how they root suckers, or if they shoot seeds out in distances or what, but I haven't seen these guys bloom yet because I think I just got them last season. But since we did not plant any of these in any of the raised beds, let's go ahead and plant this guy in one of these raised beds. It's the next day, and we already got a pouring rain. So we were asking the weather, Alexa, what's the weather today? Slightly cloudy with a chance of rain later today. 5 minutes later, it's pouring. I'm sure all of our seeds, seedlings, and anything we've planted in the ground or in these raised beds are really going to enjoy that rain. So it's going to be nice to not just have that blistering heat on top of them, drying everything up. Still no signs of anything digging over there where those black racer eggs are. I think the carrots this season, there's just not in the cards for us to grow carrots. That area there is that I planted some, and I planted them all over the place. Had some come up in the little wood pots or whatever, but something got them, knocked them over, killed them, and everywhere we planted some, I haven't seen any sprout. So it's another day. We just put out some starch water and a few of the watering buckets, and the stink water bucket are one of them. And it's been over 3 weeks, I think, since we grafted all these plants. And if you've been watching our videos, our garden vlog videos, you know that a lot of them don't look very good, like they haven't taken. A lot of times there's a bad sign when you have growth like that right under where you grafted. I think using these bags, wind and animals land on the bags, or wind pushes them and it actually loosens up the graft sometimes. So I think I really need to improve my grafting method. A lot of people will just cover the scion area with tinfoil, to keep it from getting sunburn and stuff. So they'll pre-wrap it, the whole thing. And one of the reasons why I don't really do that is because I don't have the grafting tape that the buds can shoot out of and break through. You have to actually break cut the tape on the one I have, after you see the buds swelling and kind of pushing out. I did kind of try to wrap between the buds on some of them. It looks like that one was budding out and then it turned brown. And this one right there is a green in the graft section. So if one of these two took, that's nice. This is a Wellington mulberry. This one has a little bit of the green bud there still. That's a Collier. These guys are Riverview Russians. Again, not really any sign of them doing much or anything. Here's an Oscar mulberry. Hard to tell. Should be another Oscar as well. This is our Pawpaw, KSU Atwood or Otwood. That one kind of looks good. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. This one here, though, has a bottom growth. So right below the graft. A lot of times when they fail, they'll get this bottom growth here. So we definitely have to wait and see. But even if that one takes, that'll be fine. I'm going to show you how terrible of a job I did on the first American persimmon, the Dollywood, in the wetlands area. It was so brittle and soft that we just tried to make do however we could, or we would have lost, the scion wood. But it's kind of brown and loose, so it's not calloused, it's not healed, it's not most likely 99.9% dead or dying. So some of the mulberry types are almost impossible to root, like Persian and a few of the black, the Morris Nigra. So in that regards, I think even the red ones are really hard to root, the true red ones. So a lot of people would graft, but in other cases, things that aren't super hard to root can be affected by nematodes and stuff in Florida. So like Pakistan mulberries, you normally graft them onto something more resistant, like the wild white ones or whatever, or Illinois everbearing. But it does look like more are not going to be grafted successfully than are. I mean, I hope at least that one KSU Atwood roots, and I hope we get some of the mulberries, but it's not looking good for a lot of them. If you're a master grafting person, nurseryman or whatever, you'll save a lot of money if you want to bring new material to your farm or whatever by successfully grafting these guys. But if you have a high failure rate, obviously you can end up spending more money on attempting to graft or root or whatever stuff versus just buying the material that's already grafted, already rooted, and maybe using that as your parent stock, your scion wood stock. With that said, let's just wait and see. Maybe I'm not super optimistic, but maybe we'll get some pleasant surprises in a few weeks. We'll just see something budding out and leaves come out and little limbs start to shoot out of the scion woods, and yeah, we might have something. So we got 2 plants from the local nursery. This is called a square stem. And I could have swore they had like yellow flowers on them, but the guy at the nursery said they have white flowers. So they get bushy and tall and very rough, like sandpaper leaves. And then I don't remember what this guy is. I said Natalie might like that. The main reason I went up there and probably spent $10 in gas was because they were supposed to have those Yopon hollies. They got like 5 ways to pronounce them, but they were supposed to have one a week or 2 ago rooted, and they talked like they were rooting them themselves, but after like talking to them 3 or 4 times over the last month and a half, they said, the guy that's rooting them, they're going to pick them up today and they'll be out next week. So it's kind of a wasted trip almost. Here's what I've noticed at this particular nursery. Half of their whole nursery is like bare. I don't know if it's just because customers this time of year are just buying them out, or if they're just not getting enough supplies. But I've never seen this nursery so lacking. I've talked to them in the past, and they said that, it's a big problem. It isn't just getting the supplies, but it's also the cost of shipping them. So I think what they're doing, from what I can gather, is they're going in with 2 or 3 big nurseries sometimes and just creating a bulk order between all of them to save on the shipping costs. So I think possibly Greenhouse Nursery and Blue Star, and I know they've told me they pick up stuff from Greenhouse, so there's some kind of connection there. They are possibly just going in together. And we were there last month, and we seen a bunch of nursery people come in and just about fighting over plants. So these nurseries are like taking so much material from these guys. And we look at like the flea market last weekend, and they have similar or the same roses and fruit trees. Like roses, they wanted between $30 and $50 a piece, when we were getting them from this nursery. I think they normally sell for $18, but we bought so many they've been selling them to us for like $15 or $16. But I can imagine that these nurseries are probably buying them from Blue Star, paying $15, maybe less, and then putting a high markup on them. And there's another lady always advertising online in Stark. Citrus trees, $65 a piece. We get them for $20 for the 1 gallon. That's probably like $35 for the 3 gallon. So I guess you kind of almost need to be like a broker co-op, to I guess make money getting your plant materials and to make money selling them. Otherwise you have too much in shipping, or you just don't have enough plant stock. Sometimes you have to bottom soak plants to make them happy. And now we got some, I don't even know what this is, but it's a pretty plant. It was looking sad until we bottom soaked it for a day or 2. Oh, that's about it for today. We definitely need to start getting on the ball, figuring out where we're going to put the fig trees and possibly these 2 little pomegranates, or we may just put the pomegranates in a bigger pot and grow them out for a season or 2. All right, guys, I think that's it. Kids are screaming and hollering, so I guess it's my turn to go back in the house and deal with them. This is a walking iris.